My Lords, I thank the noble lady, Baroness Morris of Yardley, for securing this debate and her immensely powerful introduction to it. I applaud particularly her positivism of speaking about the young people of today as a great generation. That's what I see in many of my contacts with them, from the climate strikers of Bristol and Sheffield and beyond to the school and college pupils I meet through Learn with the Lords. And I saw that this morning as I opened the Broomhill Library's restored historic rock garden. Hard work from young people ranging from the local infants classes to the students of Freeman College and the landscape design students at the University of Sheffield have contributed to restoring a historic design by Percy Kane, creating a biodiverse, rich environment that will be a great asset to the public wellbeing in Sheffield. It's a demonstration of the power of community to which Lord Coker referred. But there's no doubt that this generation faces unique challenges that predate the pandemic, which has highlighted and amplified the effects, but didn't create them. Many young people I meet are understandably acutely anxious about the climate emergency and the nature crisis, but they also have a profound sense of the brokenness of our society, the deep inequality, which means inadequacy of income and wealth, poverty, the inability to access the basic needs for a decent life for millions of people, and particularly for children. And there's also a deep poverty in the quality of life. Lives are not so obviously grey as they were in Victorian mill cities, but millions of young are trapped in austerity-racked communities of closed libraries and cancelled bus services, their housing overcrowded and falling apart, their air filthy and their parks uncared for. That's an indictment of past political decisions over decades. I was tempted to focus my speech today on that, but my visit this morning made me decide to focus instead on positive possibilities, directions that we're not now taking, but we should. The post-COVID-19 recovery for young people has to start with an education system that prepares students for a truly healthy, fulfilling life, not just for exams and not measured by the income those students later collect. For we all know that income level bears no relationship to the value of an individual's contribution to society. It involves an education that allows for creative possibilities, the tremendous energy and enthusiasm evident in the youngest children, all too often squeezed out of them by the world of poverty and inequality, and the rigidity and mindless routine forced into their schools by government diktat. And we can draw inspiration from Broomhill. Education should involve being out in the open air as standard every day, in contact with soils, plants and wildlife, which we know is great for everyone's health, but particularly children's. There should be a right to nature, a green space, ideally a wild space near every home. And education should involve contact with, being surrounded by, art and history. Why is there so little public art in the UK? Not just in major city squares, but in every suburb, every village, on every telecoms box, as in parts of Sheffield. And why at secondary and tertiary level does this government seem to be doing everything it can to discourage such subjects? And education should involve, perhaps most importantly of all, control, something the noble lady Baroness Massey was just referring to, knowing that you can make decisions about your own life, follow your own dreams, take your talents where you will. That's something that should start young, in school, with pupils having far more say individually and collectively over their own learning. That's what the young people involved in the Broomhill Garden did. They co-produced it with the experts and their community. So I come back to the anxiety about the climate emergency, the nature crisis and the poverty and inequality. Concerned about encountering it so often, I once spoke to a psychologist about my instinctive reaction to it, that crucial to giving people the tools to tackle it was empowerment. The psychologist agreed. The reality of our society, our state of economic, social, environmental and political chaos cannot be hidden from young people. They see it, they feel it, they taste it every day in their lives. They know previous generations have failed. They have the energy, the ideas, the capacity to work with all of us if we just allow them the resources, the freedom to act. None of us in your lordship's house knows what it is to be a 10-year-old or a 16-year-old today. They are the experts about their own lives. we have to give them control over their own futures. There's said to be a Chinese proverb about a curse of living in interesting times. To adapt, I'd say the young are cursed by decades of disastrous decisions to be forced to be a great generation. Radical change is a certainty. It's in all of our hands that it is in the right direction. Thank you, my lords.